Okay, Jay here. We got a really cool looking, unique dirt bike magazine build we did. It's a 2007 CRF150R. Now these bikes, just for those that don't know, are Honda stopped making two-strokes. They said no more. Like 07 was the last year they made, or at least sold, two-strokes. They are all committed to four-strokes only. This bike is meant to compete with 85s, but overall, typically 85s are a little lighter, and that distance, the gap between an 85 and a 150 four-stroke, most of the time a guy's better on a 85. So we found this bike all blown up, just a mess. So we wanted to make it really unique looking. So we got this Total Flow yellow frame painted by San Diego powder coating while the engine was down. Rebuilt the engine with the Wrench Rabbit kit, just completely rebuilt it, all stock, rebuilt it all stock. Got it all together, and we rode it and go, it's really slow. It was pretty slow. So we went ahead and go, let's make it faster. So I took it back to Brad. We put a big bore kit on it, put a 160 kit from Cylinder Works, and put a cam, a hot cam in there, stage 2 cam. So now the thing rips pretty good. So feels pretty good. We got some really cool parts in this thing, but the main parts I always use, like I said, were all the hot rods cranked to rebuild it, the engine. ICW strengthened up the radiators. We got our Hinson clutch. This is the thing I got kind of secondhand. I bought this from one of the racer kids, is this cover from Hinson. They make this whole outer cover so that you can bolt this cover on and just change your clutches this way. So you don't have to take off the entire cover like you do on some of the older bikes, because this bike is kind of modeled after a CR85. Decal Works made us some cool looking graphics. Got the UFO plastic, moto seat, all of our Works connection pieces, super sprockets, chain of sprocket, and of course Dunlop tires. We have some oversized front rotor, Moto Master on that stuff, and got our Tusk wheels. So pretty cool build. Realistically, as much as we put into it, it's probably not worth. So it'd be good if you're building it for your own kid and everything. And factory connection went through the suspension is set up for a small, like 120-pound kid that can ride these things. So we're gonna go put a little time on our little, close testing track and check it out. It was a good story in dirt bike, so hopefully you enjoy. Okay, so as you can see, this bike can be ridden plenty fast. This is a small kid. I don't know when I weighed that little, but it was like maybe 3rd grade or so. But this kid, Topher, rides a 150 already. He was riding a 2-stroke, now he's onto this 150. He has his own 150, and he was pretty happy with how much faster this one was than his. He thought it ripped pretty good. So he really enjoyed riding it on our little test track here before we got rid of this bike. We had to get a little photo shoot in, and he really had a good time. One of the advantages of riding a 4-stroke is that you're going to be riding 4-strokes the rest of your career. I think one of the downsides is that you maybe don't learn as good of technique and so forth, and how to be aggressive and ride like a 2-stroke, like that kind of speed that you have to carry, like with an 85 or a 125. You have to carry way more speed and, be on the pipe a lot more. And that's why, like for me, I had Spencer ride a 125 for a long time. I deal was kind of on the 125, 150. He had to pass me first before he could ride a big bike, and he pretty much got there. He hit me a few times, and so we decided to get him on a 4-stroke. But the 150R, one of the downsides, there's a couple downsides. First of all, it's kind of hard to start. Especially if you modify them, you got to keep that carburetor really dialed to keep them to where they're start easy. And the other downside is it's not as snappy and quick as an 85 that's running good. Now, it might have more torque and be better in some conditions, maybe slick conditions and so forth, but overall,
An 85 is probably better for most kids, but this 150 is such a good bike getting them ready for the future. So I kind of see both sides of it. It'd be great if it was a bit lighter and had electric start somehow magically, and then this would be an amazing bike. And unfortunately, none of the other manufacturers have jumped onto this, so there's not going to be anyone racing 150s against other brands anytime soon. So Honda's kind of got a class of its own here. But their up-and-coming kids are all racing these things, and I think we're going to see them around for quite a while, as Honda's kind of committed to stay away from two-strokes. So really fun listening to this thing rip on our track here. Pretty good time out testing this thing out, and really cool looking bike.